We will finish on a high and on the big picture, but I guess we have to address the James Tarkowski challenge,
Yeah.
and the yellow rather than the red. With the benefit of an hour to think about it, have you come up with anything you didn't say at the time?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I actually want to address. I want to address the James Tarkowski challenge, and I want to address the actual goal that Liverpool scored from a point of view that I don't. Yeah, I'll come on to it. The challenge to start with.
We'll get back to Gary in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D Talks football video hits. And as ever, if something's bubbling up inside of you, if you need to express yourself, if you've got something that is on your mind, please put it in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments, and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Anyway, in this little clip, it's a second little clip from the Gary Neville podcast following the Merseyside derby, and he's going to be talking about, well, he's going to continue talking about the game itself, and he's specifically going to be talking about Tarkovski's challenge. Anyway, stick around for after the clip, because the Big D is going to be giving his thoughts on what he said in this little clip. Here's Gary.
Yeah, it probably took, first time I was like, ooh, and then second time you look at it, you think, he's meant that. You know, I've made that challenge. We've all made that challenge back in the day where you sweep up the ball, you get it, you know you're there first, you know a player's committed, and you follow through, and you follow through high, basically just under knee high, sort of shin high, and you know you're going to get someone. It's back in the day, it would have been a free hit. It's what you would do: follow through, take someone with you, and everyone would say, "Oh, he got the ball," and that was it. You might not even get a yellow card. However, I think that was a bad one, and it's a challenge that, you know, James Tarkowski will know that he's very lucky to stay on the pitch. But yeah, I said at the time, there might be people at home saying he got the ball. You know, it's his follow through, it's his natural follow through. I'm sorry, as a football player, having been there, you can decide to follow through at what height you want with your boot, and you can decide also just to withdraw if you want. As soon as you've kicked the ball, you can pull your leg away. You know, we're all in control of these types of things, and we know full well when we're not. And that was one where he was completely in control, knew what he was doing. He's thinking, I can leave one on somebody. And he's a very lucky boy that the referee didn't see it, but he's also extremely lucky at the VAR haven't seen. I mean, I don't want to plough into VAR, because the reality of it is they get ploughed into enough. But that's a shocker. It's a real shocker. They won't even have to review that when they're analysing the decisions this month. They'll just be holding their hands up and say, we got this one badly wrong. I think that's what happens sometimes when you're second-guessing yourself and you're scared of your own shadow a little bit and you start to think too much. Just see it as you would do on the pitch. See it as you would do. It's an instinct straight away. It's a red card. And no one would have complained about it, but they've obviously left with the decision with the on-field referee. The one I do want to talk about is, and it's nothing to do with the referee's decisions because it's the rule, but when Diaz was offside on the build-up to the Jota goal, and it ball gets played down the channel to him, and Tarkovski goes to intercept it, and he has to intercept it and sort of stretch for it because Diaz is there. I don't like that one. Yeah, I'm going to whinge about that one as a defender. So as a defender, you've pushed up, you've played your man offside, he's in the channel there. Tarkovski has to go across and play it, and he sort of stops it, and then the ball sort of then falls a little bit to, I think it falls to Adrissa maybe, and then Jota comes in, but they score from that. I think that's a definite offside. I know it's not in the rules, but for me, that's one that's a definite offside. When the ball gets played, it's a little bit like the one where there's a goal scored and there's a player stood in front of the goalkeeper. You know, that's an offside because he's interfering with play. I think that Diaz is interfering with play because Tarkovski's had to stretch for it. So, look, this is nothing to do with Liverpool, nothing to do with Liverpool not winning the game. I think they deserved to win the game with the second half, and I think they would have gone and got a goal anyway if they didn't get that one because they would have pushed harder. But I don't like that one as a defender. I think I've got real sympathy with modern defenders. That I get the fact that sometimes you've got this rule of sort of not interfering with play. But for me, Diaz is definitely interfering with play. And yeah, that's just something that I feel generally about that type of one. I've seen it many times before, and I disagree with the rule. It's nothing to do with the officials, nothing to do with Liverpool winning the game tonight, but I don't like it.
Sure. Okay, well, let's finish, obviously, where we need to finish, which is right at the top of the Premier League, and just how you think Liverpool manage it from here on in.
I just think that when you're in this position, and it's the most important trophy, I think that you just determination, professionalism, preparation, not taking a chance with everything that you're doing every single day. This is a period, it goes without saying this, but you know, you'd have a drink back in the day sometimes in international breaks. Or, you know, if you're in this position now and you're sort of like end of March and you know you've got till sort of what would be mid to the end of May, you're not you're not touching a drop of alcohol. You're eating absolutely perfectly. You're stretching every single morning. You're doing everything spot on to a point whereby you get this job done and you don't take any chance whatsoever. And I think there's an element of Liverpool right now which will know they're on the brink of history. You know, getting level with Manchester United on Premier League titles, I'm going to say it again, it is painful that, you know, Manchester United worked for 20 years to get in front of Liverpool, and Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp's title, and this one now are going to get back level. It's a massive moment. And these players, to be fair, likes of Van Dijk and Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, who've been around now for a number of years, you know, those players are fantastic players and are great players and deserve 2 Premier League titles to the name. They do. They're great players in Premier League standings, and Alisson as well. Obviously, didn't play tonight. So such an important 5-6 weeks for Liverpool. I think they'll get it done, to be fair, quite quickly. I think tonight was critical in the sense of making sure that they do it properly, which is quickly and efficiently, and don't sort of like stumble over the line whereby they're getting carried over the line and it looks a little bit messy. What you don't want in this next few weeks, if you're Liverpool, is people to start overly thinking about, oh, it's a poor league this season. They've just stumbled over the line. They had no competition. City blew up. Arsenal and nothing. You know, they got all loads of injuries. They don't want that. Now, that's not going to happen here, but you just don't want that sentiment to creep in. So for Liverpool, I think it's really, no one who's won a Premier League title or not won a Premier League title who's played the game would say that. But that, you know what I mean? That's the sort of flavour that could happen if you sort of lose the Carabao Cup final, you get knocked out of Europe. That could have built. So I think tonight's a really important game for Liverpool. 1-0's are great on the way into a title, and I think they'll go and do it really professionally and sort of efficiently and do it in the next few weeks. And it's an unbelievable achievement from the manager to provide the stability and the sort of calmness and composure that he has all the way through the season has been, I mean, astounding, really. Under great pressure at times when being asked around the 3 players that are out of contract at the end of the season. At the start of the season, replacing Jurgen Klopp, who's one of the biggest personalities that we've seen in the Premier League, and he's not the same level. He's not the same level of personality as Klopp, but he's almost in some ways perfect to replace what Klopp was, which was just somebody who's electric. He's the opposite, Arne Slot. He's composed, calm, in control. Tonight at the end of the game, when he's sort of going like that, it's almost as sort of animated as we've seen him. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a great few weeks for Liverpool Football Club, a painful few weeks for their rivals, but they deserve it. They're well out on top, and I think tonight was important to get back on the bike. And, you know, because don't get me wrong, that will have hurt them a couple of weeks ago, that week that they had before the international break.
You know, what's funny is that Tarkovski challenge, that used to just be a run-of-the-mill challenge 15 years ago. It's really weird. I mean, I remember seeing Jamie Carragher do something similar against Nani. And it was a little bit of a big deal back then, but at the same time, the challenges were flying all over the place. I mean, Vinnie Jones made a career of it back in the 90s. Graham Souness was a butcher in the 80s. I mean, it was only recently that I came across some video on YouTube. You know what it's like. You get suggested videos out of nowhere sometimes, and you're like, oh, what's this? And I think it was a game, I think it was Liverpool versus Forest, I think it was. And 2 players went in for a tackle. One of them didn't like it and gave him a right hook to the jaw. And then the other one swung back. The referee got in the middle and just told them to calm down. And then they both just carried on. They shook hands and then they carried on. And I'm like, what's going on? That's like a mix between MMA and football. Whereas now, what used to be a run-of-the-mill challenge, he's like, oh my word, did you see what just happened there? They nearly tried to kill him. It's like, wow. Because even if you just clip someone now, you know, they start rolling around as if they're Daniel Day-Lewis in My Left Foot. You know, it's insane. But, yeah, I mean, it was a bit nasty, to be fair. And On a worse day, I mean, his shin could have been snapped in two. So, I mean, is the game better without challenges like this? Well, I suppose it is for the players. But I don't know. Like, just in general for the fans, am I being bloodthirsty here? In general for the fans, I mean, I just feel as though football, generally speaking, is just so sanitized now. You can't tackle anyone properly anymore. You can't say anything. Everything's all rigid, fluid systems, or, well, that's a bit of a contradiction, but what I mean is everything's all system-based. You know, whatever happened to the good old 4-4-2, where it was all about who had the best players? Now it's all about who's got the best system. Like, Moneyball football has really sort of got a stranglehold on the game now. I mean, that was a good film by Brad Pitt, to be fair, but has it made football any better? I get why it would make baseball better, because baseball's very stop and start, and it's a little bit more like a game of chess, so to speak. But football, you know, the romance with football is it's at its best, it's improvisational. You know, all of the players that we all love and remember, it's not really Xavi, is it? It's not Tiki-Taka Xavi, really. It's Roy Keane. It's Zinedine Zidane. It's Brazilian Ronaldo. It's Lionel Messi. It's these individualists who could just create magic out of thin air, or someone who could skip past people. I'm sure Xavi was good and all of that. Well, he was good. Obviously he was. I've seen him. But the point is, he wasn't a world-class player until he was slotted into a system. No one really cared about him. Same with Piqué as well. It's similar with Phil Foden now for England. Right, some players are just suited to a specific kind of system, and if you get them in that system, then they'll flourish and they'll become world class. Xavi was like that. Phil Foden is like that. Gerard Piqué as well. And fair enough. But when football was at its best, you had some really good individual players. So, for instance, Roy Keane could play in any system, any team, no problem. Jude Bellingham could probably do the same. And I've got a feeling that the more individualist style of player is slowly starting to creep back into the game. And I think that's because everyone's doing the tiki-taka stuff. So I think managers are starting to realise, well, we need to find a way to counteract this. So we need to disrupt it, so to speak. And we need to use certain kind of players who are good at individual things. So, for instance, Nottingham Forest are doing really well at the moment, and they're just playing basically long ball football. That being said, Elanga was scored a good goal the other night. But the point being, yeah, I mean, football's weird. It's just completely over-sanitised. And it's really weird that the biggest personality in football now is still Roy Keane. How insane is that? And he's a panellist. I mean, where's the Zlatans? Where's the party boys? I mean, you've got Jack Grealish, but he isn't exactly, setting the world on fire with his footballing prowess, is he? But yeah. But what do you guys think? Are you a little bit more sort of nostalgic for the good old days when you could scythe someone down and get away with it? Or do you quite enjoy the fact that football is a little bit more sanitised and a little bit more professional? Thoughts in the comments, and the Big D will see you in the next one.